I heard another story of W.F. Kumuyi. They brought a madman bound in chains. And when he's thrown out, he looked at the people. The madman was all over the place. He said, leave him. So the pastors thought he was talking to them. They now say, he's violent. If we leave him, he just smiled. When the pastors saw that he smiled, they now left him. When they left him, they discovered the demons already heard and left. So when they say leave him, the demons obeyed first before the pastors came into understanding. But how do these people become so powerful? They know the power of war, so they don't throw their words around. They know when they speak, things happen. When they speak, people are blessed. When they speak, spirits obey. Because it is a mystery in the spirit. Somebody shared a testimony. He took a huge sum of money. He waited from morning to evening, only for them to tell him, sorry, you can't see God's servant today. And the truth is, God's servant was busy. Because since he came and sat outside, God's servant was in the office. And so when they were closing the office and asked everybody to leave and come tomorrow, he had to return to his country. Frustrated, he was just walking away. And to his dismay, not up to 5 minutes, God's servant was driving past. And he wind down. My son! The guy turned. What is the challenge? He knelt down and said, I came from Sierra Leone. My ministry, I've been struggling. Nothing is working. I make flyers every week. Nobody comes. I do publicity and radio jingles. Nobody comes. I go live on the internet. Nobody's watching. And after putting all the labor of fasting and prayer, I come to church, talk to myself and my wife. I'm tired. And God's servant looked at him. Go forward. That's all. Go forward. That's all. The man returned to his country the next Sunday. In fact, he came back Saturday night, so there was no time for mobilization. And when he entered church on Sunday, as opening prayer was going on, all the seats in front were filled. He now knelt down and began to ask God to help him. He has been shouting there since. But a man who has a mystery spoke. Without flyers, without radio jingle. How did the people come? What brought them? What happened there? What brought them? When he said go forward, all the spirits that are responsible for publicity went to work. That's when he discovered the remobilization. It's not flyers that do it. They are angels. Go forward. And without mobilization, all packed. And that's how ministry began to move from glory to glory. What people don't understand is their present experience is a report card of the summation of the things they've said for a period of time. A man who is in the pit today because he said it. A man who is defeated because he said it. He may not realize it that words are that powerful, but words are vehicles that transport you to experience. Trust me, failures failed from their talking. Nobody just failed by accident. Everybody who failed by prophesying his way into failure. You know, one of the testimonies they shared here was in Boko 2 days ago. I just spoke to them casually. I was interested in doing discipleship actually, but they were all eager for healing because the person who invited me called it a healing service. So when I spoke for about 1 hour 40 minutes and I discovered they were not interested in what I was saying, I now closed my Bible and said, since you people are not interested in my message, let's just pray and go. And I stood, I said, in the name of Jesus, be healed. I said, growth dematerialized. And to my dismay, a lady shows up who had a very big lump on her leg that just vanished, as though the walls became radiation. I was ministering here in the last miracle service, and I said, there's somebody here with an enlarged scrotum going through excruciating pain. I didn't even know the guy came out because we were late. I said, we won't take testimony. Only for the guy to insist on writing in his testimony that he escorted somebody for the service. He didn't come. He had no expectation. He escorted somebody. But the word picked him out too forensically that he couldn't escape the outcome. An enlarged scrotum went down. Pain vanished just by talking. I showed you already in John 6:63. He said, the words I speak, they are not communicative emphasis or realities. He said they are spirit and they are life. That means when you want to increase the quality of your life or the life of somebody, speak it. So life is encapsulated in words. So also is death encapsulated. And so if they ask you, where does life dwell? Life dwells in words. That's why in John chapter 1, it said that word was made flesh. No, it said in the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God. It said the same was with God in the beginning. All things were made by him. Without him was not anything made that was made. It said in him, in the word, it said was life. That means the capsule of life is words. So also the capsule of death is words. So every time men speak, they either release death or they release life. In Proverbs chapter 18 verse 21, the Bible made a very striking statement. It said life and death are not in the tongue, they are in the power of the tongue. The power of the tongue is spoken words. And so a man can choose to eat life, he can choose to eat death. So every time you speak life, you are actually feeding on life. And every time you speak death, you are actually speaking on death. So the second mystery of spoken words is the fact that life and death are encapsulated in words. It's only men that think words are for communication. Spirits know better. You can kill yourself by talking. You can kill your child by talking. You can kill the economy by talking. And so when men begin to understand the secret of power by words, they become careful what they say. Because when they speak death or they speak life. It's their choice. In Matthew chapter 8 verse 16 and 17, hear what happened here. It said, when the evening was come, it said they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils, and he cast the spirit out with his words and healed them. So you see that he applied these two principles here. Number one, he mobilized the demons out of the people by speaking. And number two, he injected healing and life into the people by speaking. And so Jesus knew that when he spoke, he communicated to spirits to mobilize them. And when he did, he also injected life into them. That's why you'll find a man who is truly spiritual never says idle things. Everything he says is consequential in the spirit, because he knows, like he knows his name, that every spoken word conveys spirit or they convey life. Number three, wars create and wars also destroy. Creation is at the mercy of spoken word. In Genesis chapter 1, most of you know these scriptures, but you've not been taught these truths. So you've never really applied them. That's why I said, whom shall he teach knowledge? Whom shall he make to come into understanding? It says, him that is weaned from the breast and from the milk. It says, for precept shall be upon precept. It says, lines shall be upon lines. A lead to here, a lead to there. So spiritual truth are scattered. It takes the spirit of revelation to help you correlate them. That's when it becomes profitable to you. Most of you know all these scriptures I'm quoting, but you've never applied them constructively to make progress in life. Words create. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. How did he do it? And the earth was void. Darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. Nothing happened. The Spirit of God moved, nothing happened. Have you seen why people fall under the power? Sometimes nothing happened. The Spirit of God moved, the world was still in darkness until he said, let there be light. The moment the spoken words came, suddenly creation began. And that's why John chapter 1 from verse 1 to 4 said, the word was the creator of all things. And so when you are speaking, you are creating. When you are speaking, you can also be destroying. Let me show you how you destroy by speaking. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 27 and verse 29. See what the Bible says. It said, giving no place to the devil. It now went further in verse 29 to show you how you give place to the devil. It said, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good, to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace to the hearer. That means when you speak corruption, you are giving place to the devil. And when you give place to the devil, John chapter 10 verse 10, it said, the devil cometh not but for to kill, to steal, and to destroy. So a man who is speaking can either be creating or destroying. He creates by speaking it into being, and he destroys by giving allowance to the destroyer called the devil to come in through filthy and corrupt communication. Most of you are not aware. The things you've said with your mouth, they've impacted your life more than every other thing in your lifetime, either positively or negatively, because words, they create and they destroy. They can pour 2 drums of oil on you. You can erase it by talking. You can go and live with a prophet in his house for 3 months, but you will use your words to kill yourself. So it's important to understand this. Spoken words transfer and transmit spirits. If you want to find out how spirits travel, they don't travel in cars. Spirits don't travel with planes. Spirits travel when words are spoken. And so men must understand that every word they speak mobilizes spirits. Your words are spiritual locomotive agencies for spirits. And so a man will not have the activity of spirits around him unless he speaks. And so if you want to see the Spirit of God at work in your life, then you need to know how to talk the Spirit of God to work. If you want to see demons at work in your life, which nobody wants, but that's what they do, is to talk things that transport demonic spirits. Because whether you like it or not, so long as you begin to speak, spirit begins to travel. In Ezekiel chapter 2 verse 1 and 2, the prophet stood before the glory of God. He saw the brightness, he saw the excellency, he saw the splendor. In fact, he saw the cherubims. The excellency of what he saw was so much that he fainted. But with all of the activities that were happening, the Spirit of God didn't move. So you can come under a very intense atmosphere, the Spirit will not move. You can see the glory of God and faint under the power, the Spirit didn't move. The man was on the floor as a dead man after having seen the glory of God. And suddenly, he said in verse 1, he said, and he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. And the next thing we heard was, he said, and the Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me. The moment words are spoken, spirits travel. What I'm saying here, spirits are moving. You may not feel it. After 2 hours or an hour plus, you will suddenly notice that the energy will change, because the activity of spirits will become intense. As you keep speaking, they keep moving. As you keep speaking, they keep moving. In fact, if you study John chapter 11, when Jesus was invited to Lazarus' tomb, Lazarus was tied, bound, and kept in the tomb. And Jesus was there, nothing happened. Jesus wept, nothing happened. Imagine God crying. After God cried, nothing happened. And that weeping was not a joke. He wept bitterly, nothing happened. So you can cry over your situation as much as you want, nothing will happen. Even if God joins you in crying, nothing will happen. Because God joined Martha and cried, nothing happened. But when the Spirit of life was to be mobilized, Jesus showed up and said, Lazarus, come forth. Immediately, spirits moved. And the man was carried from where he was kept, and he stood at the door. So, what mobilizes spirits are words. So the words we speak every day is mobilizations for spirits. In John 6:63, he said it is the Spirit that quickens. He said the flesh profited nothing. But how do you activate the quickening spirit? He said the way to activate the quickening spirit is by talking. Because the quickening spirit can be there, but he will not quicken. So he said the words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So the way I mobilize the quickening spirit is by talking. But you talk from morning till night and you are not conscious that spirit moves. That's why you have not tapped into the mystery of spoken words. You think spoken words are for communication, and so you talk for a whole week. All you are doing is communication. A man who has entered the reality of the mystery of spoken words, he knows his words are a gift. That's why sometimes he will look at you, he will not say anything. You can talk, he will just nod. He knows if he talks to you, you are blessed. You will think it's pride, but he knows something.